Welcome back to my next playthrough series. This time we're continuing on with Aeons and Legacy. We're into Chapter 4 now, A Friend in Danger. And so we're playing with Astria, and we're playing with Death Maiden. It's been a while since I've done this, but we are going to get into this. So this is the chapter we're going to attempt in this playthrough. And of course, if you fail, it's not the end of the Legacy series. You can try again. Well, let's hope we don't fail. I'm going to give it my best shot. And let's see what we need to do to set up Chapter 4. We have an introduction and a setup. And we'll go through all of that in this episode. We won't get into any gameplay, but we will in the next episode. So this is just going to be setup and introduction to Chapter 4. So let's take a look at the introduction to Chapter 4 card that comes with the game. Alright, this is the Chapter 4 introduction. Rumors have spread that other Breach mages survived the destruction of Gravehold. To survive, we need their help, and they need ours. We must find them and regroup, Brahma explains. Brahma and Mist leave on a scouting trip in search of these survivors, placing you in charge of New Gravehold's safety. You are alone at night, listening to the ring of metal from Malister's forge, when a bloodied Mist staggers back into camp. As she reaches the edge, she stumbles to the ground. Malistar helps you move her to her cabin. Laying her on a cot, "Where is Brahma?" he asks. And we read the back of this card. Chapter 4 introduction continued. Mist speaks weakly. "We are ambushed by a nameless that can enter your mind. The spores encased Brahma before we could react." Mist murmurs, "Do not blame her. She is a prisoner to that beast. You must free her before she is lost to us forever." "Go," Malister speaks softly. "I'll take care of Mist. Go save our general." So, it instructs us to open playmat 4. I did, so that's not a problem. Then we open the stop deck. It basically gives us the Fungal Mesh Nemesis cards. That's going to be our enemy. I've set up the Nemesis deck according to page 10 of the rules. And then we open Insight 7 and apply the rulebook stickers. We're going to take a quick look at those. And then fight the Fungal Mesh. Read the front of L31 after your first game with Fungal Mesh. Okay, so we're not going to do that until, of course, we play the first game. But we do need to look at these instructions that showed up in Insight 7. We're going to look at our Nemesis, which is the Fungal Mesh. Then we're going to take a look at Astria, Death Maiden, and our cards that we can purchase. So like I said, this is going to be an introduction episode. We won't get into any gameplay this time, because there's lots kind of to go over. Alright, let's take a look at those new rules that were added for Insight 7. So I'm not sure how well this is focusing, but it has to do with a player being exhausted. So we're adding a new rule set in here. It says the exhausted player destroys one of their breaches, discarding any spell prepped in that breach. Destroyed breaches can be set aside in the next game. No way to regain a destroyed breach during a game. The exhausted player will regain this breach at the beginning of the next game. The remaining breaches stay in their current positions, and then the exhausted player discards all charged tokens. So that was added now as a rule to Game 4. And we added some tokens, which are these ones, and they are called, what are they called? Fungal Mesh Nemesis tokens. So we'll be using those when we're playing against the Fungal Mesh. So let's take a look at the Fungal Mesh and see what he's all about. Alright, so if we look at the Fungal Mesh here for setup, none. So we just set up the Nemesis deck as intended in the rulebook, page 10. It says, when our scouts first encountered the Fungal Mesh, they were unprepared for what it could do. The aftermath was bloody, with the mesh having overtaken the minds of several of our scouts, forcing them to turn on each other. After that, it was decided the scouts would keep a safe distance, watching the Fungal Mesh from afar. The Fungal Mesh is more powerful than Brahma estimated, and now she has fallen under the spell of the beast. It must be stopped if we are to have any hope of new life on the surface. And so I'll just quickly flip it over, and we can take a look at the rest here. So it has a health of 70. The Unleash is Fungal Mesh gains a Nemesis token. So that's these lovely little tokens here. And there's 8 of them. And then additional rules at the end of each Nemesis turn. If the Fungal Mesh has 2 or more of those tokens, if there's no prep spells, Gravehold is going to suffer 4 damage. If there's at least 1 prep spell, any player casts a prep spell. The damage that is dealt must be dealt to Gravehold, any player instead of the minion or Nemesis. So that's nasty. And if a spell cost is 0, it's destroyed. That's nasty too. And then the Fungal Mesh loses 2 tokens, and you keep repeating that until it's down to 1 or fewer tokens. So that's what we're up against. So let's take a quick look at, once again, Death Maiden and Astria, and then we're going to look at these 6 cards that we can purchase throughout the game, and that'll be our introduction. And when we get into the next episode, we're going to get down and dirty and try and take out this giant fungal mesh. Alright, so as a high-level view for Death Maiden starts off, her starting hand, she has her Bug Zapper, which is a 0-cost spell, which is nasty because the mesh can destroy this. Deal 1 damage to a minion. Deal 1 damage. If it's a minion, you deal an additional damage 2. And then she's got 3 crystals and a spark. So there's that. She's got 10 health, of course. She has the Ignite at the start of your turn. At the start of your first turn of the game, gain 2 charges. She has Ignite, and she's got the Bug Smasher. Deals 7 damage if you have all your charges and spend them all. She has 3 crystals and a spark in her deck, and her breaches are set up as such. So that is what we're playing with Death Maiden. Let's go take a look now at Astria. Alright, so here we have Astria. She has the Life Bringer. This is her special card. 0 cost, it's a gem. Gain an ether. If you have 3 or more open breaches, you gain a life. She has a spark, 3 crystals in her hand. She also has 4 crystals and a spark in her deck. Again, she's got 6 charges. She's got Forced Focus. At the start of your first turn of the game, focus your level 3 breach twice. That's freaking awesome. And then she has Life Well. Activate during your main phase. Any player gains 3 life if she has all charges and spends them. Starts with 10 life. Her breaches are set as such. And also just a note, Gravehold itself starts with 30 health. Alright, we're going to take a quick look at all 6 cards that we can have for purchasing in the game. And then that's going to end off our episode for today, which is just the introduction. So let's take a look at those 6 cards that we can purchase throughout the game. Alright, so we have everything basically set up. So let's take a look at our cards that we can purchase this time. So we have a gem, the Soothing Torbrine, gain 2 ether or silence a minion. That's actually pretty good, costing 3. We have the Branching Radite, gain 2 ether. If you have 2 or more prepped spells, gain an additional ether, costing 4. We have another gem, the Entangled Shard, gain 2 ether. If you have 3 or more charges, gain an additional charge. That's pretty good for boosting up our characters. This one I really like, the Neural Wreath. Focus any player's breach. Any player may prep a spell in hand. For 4, we have the Void Mill. Focus any player's breach. 2 different players may destroy the top card of their discard pile, costing 5. And we have the Fire Chakram spell for costing 2, deal 2 damage. A little bit better than our Spark spell and not very expensive. And we have the Force Transfusion, deal 3 damage. If you have 3 or more charges, you gain a charge. So not only do you do damage, but you gain charges. And we have the Bending Beam, which is one of my favorites. Works really well for Astria. Costing 5, deal 2 damage. If the spell was cast from open breach 3, deal 3 additional damage. And lastly, we have the Gravity Node. Any player discards a card in hand if they do deal 4 damage. Also really, really good. So we have actually a lot of low-cost items to purchase. That's going to be how we will be playing against the Fungal Mesh. So like I said, this is just an introduction setup. We do have our turn order deck here, but I'll shuffle that at the beginning of the next episode when we start playing. So the scene is set. We've got to try to take down the Fungal Mesh. It's going to be tough. So he's got 70 health. Gravehold's 30. I don't know. So thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for your comments, subscriptions, likes. Really appreciate it. This is Aeons and Legacy. We're playing Chapter 4, Friend in Danger, for the first time. If we do not succeed, we will get to, of course, have another try at it, but let's hope we can on the first go-around. So thanks so much, and we'll see you in the opening episode next time, which we'll get right into playing a full round. So thanks so much, and we'll see you then.